House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street, coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM. I want you to get on your feet right now for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. Hug the person next to you, tell him you love him. Give them a big hand. Give them a hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning. For you that are here live at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York. And for you that are watching us live stream around the country on www.nationalactionnetwork.net, let me welcome you again to another Saturday morning where the action is. And let us give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy, and our musical director, Brother Brevon Neal. Let me say quickly, for you in Radio Land, tomorrow morning, do not forget 8 o'clock Eastern, that our Politics Nation with Al Sharpton on MSNBC, I'm going to be dealing with this question of gun violence, and we're going to talk about this in a minute in a drive here. But nationwide, you that watch online, but you particularly in the LIB, WLIB audience, then at 10:30, I'm going to be on Bill Ritter's show on Channel 7. But while I'm doing TV, at 12 noon, I'll be preaching at the St. Luke Baptist Church, 1916 Park Avenue, corner of 130th Street, Reverend Johnny McCann. I'll be doing his 12 o'clock service. So all of you in Radio Land, meet us there tomorrow. I'll be preaching there. Then 2 o'clock, our people in Queens, our National Action Network Queens chapter, will be having their health and wellness seminar. I'll be speaking for with our Queens chapter leader, Reverend Phil Craig. And that's at Reverend Craig's church, Greater Springfield Community Church, 177-06, 129th Street. That's in Jamaica. So meet me at Reverend McCann at 12 and then Reverend Craig at 2. Let me also encourage everybody to go with us to Washington this Wednesday. Wednesday morning, the Supreme Court will be hearing the oral arguments on the Fisher case. This case could end affirmative action. The last time the court ruled, they said in the same case that you can have race as a factor, but it cannot be the deciding factor. It is now up to say, the argument is they don't want race to be a factor at all. If they make it unconstitutional for race to be even considered, not only will that have ramifications in places of higher learning, it will have it in diversity programs for jobs, contracts across the board, because they will then start saying, well, you can't consider race. And then you get down the road and civil rights groups like National Action Network will say, well, how many black contractors you got? Well, we can't keep a record of that. It's unconstitutional. This is a very serious issue. And we have buses leaving here. I want everybody to meet me in Washington. You on Radio Land should call, if you have not gotten a seat on the bus, call 1-877-626-4651. 1-877-626-4651. Someone's at the phones now to sign you up for the bus. And you that are watching online in Washington, 9 o'clock in front of the Supreme Court. Now there's another case the day before that's also serious. The Everett case. David Wasserman Schultz, the chairman of the Democratic Party, talked to me about that this week on our daily radio show, where they are now trying to redraw voting districts to eliminate those that are young and are not old enough to vote. Right now, they count everybody legal in the district. They want to cut that back. 30% of black Americans under 18 years old. If they cut that back, you're cutting back a lot of state legislative districts and a lot of possibly congressional districts. That oral argument is on Tuesday. What I keep telling y'all is civil rights, you must deal with constitutional issues, legislative issues, as well as the issues that we deal with every day, as Eric Gardner's mother's here. But a lot of us think that activism is only jump up when you got a crisis. Supreme Court decisions will last lifetimes. And a lot of folk miss that. And they want you run around just waiting on the next crisis and never deal with hardcore legislation or Supreme Court decisions. That's why next November is important. You run around talking about who got charisma, who you like. The next president will choose 2 to 3 Supreme Court nominees. All they need is one more. Because we've been 5 before one way, 5 before another. You give one more right winger, and everything we celebrating from Dr. King will be gone in the next 3 or 4 years. So whether you in love with Hillary or whoever or not, the question is whether you're in love with yourself. When I was in Tilton High School, I took one of the fine girls to the prom. She said the 2 guys she wanted to go with didn't ask her, so I was just what was left. So if Hillary may not be your first choice, but if you want to go to the prom and keep voting rights and affordable health care and affirmative action, you better date who's going to keep that court right. Don't use that, Reverend Johnson, that's mine. This week, Congressman Charlie Rangel, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, and others came here to the House of Justice at the encouragement of Assemblyman Keith Wright, who is always here, as Congressman Rangel is. And they have proposed a resolution, Congressman Rangel and Congressman Jeffries, to recognize Gun Awareness Month, which is done locally, but to do it nationally. They were joined here, of course, Sister Aisha Shakur and Erica Ford and others that do the work every day on the ground. And we were joined by filmmaker Spike Lee, whose film Chirac, whose movie Chirac, premiered in New York Tuesday night, and we had a big march down to Times Square after the march. And the movie went in the theaters on yesterday. But we don't want to just have a press conference and not follow up and do the work. So today we are starting a petition drive around Gun Awareness Month and around dealing with gun legislation. Governor Andrew Cuomo and Assemblyman Wright was on my daily radio show this week, and among the things the governor was talking about is that the Senate has voted to not close a loophole. I want y'all to get this. I'm dealing with this on my MSNBC show in the morning. You have what they call a no-fly list. Y'all know I do 2 or 3 cities a week. I was coming back from Miami yesterday. If you're on a no-fly list, you are suspected of possible links to terrorism, can't fly. But even if you're on that list, you can still go buy a gun. You imagine now, you're too dangerous to fly, but you can go buy an automatic weapon. We need to come with tens of thousands of signatures about this awareness to deal with these kinds of contradictions. And this is not just some policy somewhere. This is on the ground. Reverend Thomas Johnson, the pastor of Canaan Baptist Church, who's with us this morning, had a march the other day, a young person right here in Harlem killed. We live this every day. Unfortunately, Colorado and San Bernardino happens every day in Chicago. Maybe not the cumulative numbers, but by the end of the week, we're getting there. And what Congressman Rangel and Assemblyman Wright is kicking off today in this petition drive, I want us all over this country, particularly all over this state. I'm going to bring petitions with me to Reverend McCann's in the morning and to Reverend Craig in the afternoon and all of our ministers. We need to really sign this up. We need to stop talking about how powerful the NRA is and start putting numbers up against them. Because Congressman Rangel will tell you when elected officials see voters signing petitions, then they look at the NRA contributions a little differently. We've not built a movement to counter the NRA. We just keep rolling over. We may not have their money, but we have the numbers. We've got to be able to show the numbers. And that's what this petition drive is all about. And I think that it is important that we recognize Keith Wright didn't just have a press conference, stick his face in a picture, and go on. He said, no, let's have petitions. You know, we got these drive-by political figures. Show up for the photo op and gone. No follow-up, don't get nothing done. We don't need drive-by on this. We need something real. Congressman Rangel can give you the legislative history of what he's done since he's been in Congress. You have a lot of people make great speeches on the floor and great interviews on cable news and have not achieved nothing. We don't send you to Congress to be an orator. We send you to be a legislator. We don't send you to Albany to style. We send you there for substance. You want to be an orator and want to have style, then be our Sharpton. I thought that would wake y'all up. So I want to bring now the congressman of this district as he initiates this call and starts this petition drive that we all are going to support and enact and get done. I want y'all to take sheets and we're going to spread it everywhere. Let us welcome, as always, the House of Justice, our Congressman, Charles B. Rangel.
I am fired up. I am so fired up. I'm going to tell a quick story at the risk that some clergy people may not like it, but it goes like this, that there was a big flood taking place in this little town, and they told the local pastor that he better get out of town because it's going to be very dangerous. He said, no, I worked for Jesus all my life. He's going to take care of me. And the water started rising, and they came by with a canoe, a boat, and said, Reverend, better get in the boat because it's going to be very serious. We're going to lose some lives. And the Reverend said, I told you once, I'm telling you again. I've served my Lord Jesus Christ, and he's going to take care of me. Well, finally, the water kept coming up, and the Reverend was on top of the house, and a helicopter came. And I said, Reverend, this is it. Everybody's gone. He said, well, everyone may be gone, but I have my faith and confidence in the Lord, and he's going to take care of me. Well, unfortunately, the Reverend died. He drowned. He's up there in heaven, and he's just about as angry as a man could be. He couldn't wait to see St. Peter. And they said, how in the heck could something like this happen? With all of the service I've given to my church, my constituents, and the Lord, and when I needed him, he wasn't there for me. And St. Peter said, Pastor, you missed the whole thing. He came for you 3 times. Which I guess that's what my mom meant when she said, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Who would have thought that Rosa Parks could have been responsible indirectly for planting the seed for the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the Martin Luther King, and the fact that we were able with Lyndon Johnson and the black ministers to overcome. Who would have thought just saying I ain't going nowhere might do it? And I think the Lord has given us another chance now. He took Miss Gardner's son, and everyone felt the frustration. What can we do? Every time it's there, it's whoa, 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 whoa. And I am thoroughly convinced when I get up there, angry, that I'm up there because they took me away, but they can say, Rangel, we've given you so many opportunities. Your people have had so many opportunities. And Keith Wright, I really think this is one. Keith saw what happened in providing the leadership in the state. But we all know that guns and meanness and evil people have no border. You want a gun, if you can get it from Virginia, Connecticut, whatnot, you're going to get that gun. And then when you find gun manufacturers putting millions of dollars into the National Rifle Association, millions of dollars, and they in turn give it to members of Congress, it means that they have decided that money is more important than lives, even their lives. Now they don't count the black lives and the Hispanic lives that are lost locally. The only time you see the Congress getting up there in prayer is when we have the catastrophe and white folks are being killed. And that's not racist, it's that they're more closely associated with them than with the kids that have lousy schools, lousy home districts, and no ambitions because they don't have the feeling that they can make it in this country. But if you take a look at H.R. 541, and we say that this is National Awareness Month in June, take my word for it, Jeffries and I think that this goes far beyond people talking about June. It means that the Lord has given us one more opportunity to take over. If we just had the concept of self-esteem and pride, that some groups in this country had. That when somebody was hurt in Chicago, we felt it right here in New York. If we felt an instant of the type of pride that we don't have to give lectures and speeches and just say that I know Reverend Sharpton, and someone said, I know exactly what you mean. If we all just had this much of Reverend Sharpton in us, we would be much stronger, because that self-esteem would give us an edge on anybody who didn't know what we were talking about. Because crazy people, or people who act crazy, whether in the Ku Klux Klan, whether in the Tea Party, or whether they're in the Freedom Party, crazy people have an advantage over those people that don't want to take risk. And I am hoping that when we talk about this petition, that we don't talk about Rangel, Jeffries, or Wright. That we talk about the fact that in this country, the only people in this country that didn't come in here for a better way of life. We came here because we were brought here to be the economic support to make this country great. And so we have to ask God as to when are you going to come to bail us out? And He's going to tell us the opportunities that He's given to us. Right. But we didn't think enough of ourselves to think that we could do it. Right. In the Congressional Black Caucus, when I was chair, Reverend Sharpton, we knew that 13 members couldn't make a whole lot of changes. But what we did under my leadership was we didn't vote for or against anything until we voted together. They thought we had solidarity and power and self-esteem, that we would give the speeches, we would give the count. Now there are 46 African Americans in this Congress. If you don't think God's going to tell us He's giving us another chance, and we have 42 Democrats in the Democratic Party, the largest congressional delegation in the Democratic Party in the House of Representatives. If you don't think Jesus is telling us He's giving us a chance, but in this opportunity, how many of you have friends and relatives outside of the congressional district in Harlem and outside of the congressional district that Jeffries represents in Brooklyn? How many of you know anybody that lives in a different congressional district? Put it up your hand. Let me try it again. Are you telling me you don't know nobody that lives outside home? You don't know nobody. If you needed some money for rent and people had it, and they said, all you have to do is call me to get it, well, you know who to call somewhere in California, Hawaii, wherever they can vote. Well, I'm telling you, Reverend, I'm going to vote the rest of my time in the Congress, and time after that, to have you be our Rosa Parks. All right. I would say this, God, that you shouldn't take the pain that you had to suffer for God to wake us up as to what we can do. And to Pastor Johnson, it's my understanding, and I made some big mistake. I went to Pastor Morrison and congratulated him before becoming the director of the National Black Baptist Ministers. Did I make a big mistake? He's the metropolitan area. This is the man that's in charge of the National Baptist Ministers. And I know that when Jesus stops by to tell us what we can do, He stops there first. Imagine if we had just one thing that we can do just to show these people from the NRA, to show these people from the Tea Party, to show the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and also the person that he's taken to the prom. That we are somebody, and we only using this to let you know what our political strength is. So when you leave here, we hope that every week or how often Reverend calls us, that we're able to say, who did we call that told us the name of who their member of Congress was? And did they sign up for H.R. 541? Because while it says that it's Gun Awareness Month, for you and me, we got to know this is black awareness in this country of the power that we have when that helicopter comes. So I really think that if we can have every group, especially the national group, find this or something where every person of color calls everyone they know, white, black, Jew, Gentile, and say, did you sign up? And for the whole year that I'll be in Washington, and for the years to follow with Jeffries, we're going to be walking around with a list that we'll get from Reverend Sharpton saying, your name's not on here. And this person said your name should be there. So let this be our Rosa Parks Day. Let's not get up there and say we didn't do what the Lord wanted us to do. Because take my word for it, we are a sleeping political giant. Our numbers, if that was translated into our political power, they wouldn't think about doing anything without checking with us first. So thank you, Keith Wright. Thank you, Jeffries. But most of all, thank the Halls of Justice for giving us one more shot at our freedom. Thank you, Brother Chuck.
Congressman Charlie Rangel. I want to bring the Assemblyman on and Reverend Johnson. I have a few words before I go on my message, but I want to say this. The Congressman reminded me, we must, when he told his story, we must not take for granted that we that are working got forever to work. Every day you get up, you ought to do something worthwhile. Every day is a gift from God. And you can take these petitions as one thing you can do every day. A man told me a story, the Congressman made me think of it. Man told me a story, Attorney Hardy, the other day, that there were two friends lived very near each other, and they both were members of a baseball team in the community, very big baseball fanatics. And they were inseparable. They went out and unfortunately got into a car accident, and one of them was a fatality. The other one could hardly make it without his friend. His friends did, and he was just at a total loss of what to do. And he said he would feel better months later. He went and told his pastor, Reverend Johnson, if he could just communicate with his friends sometime. And he said, well, you keep praying, maybe God will let you through a dream or through a vision know your friend made it to the other side all right. About a month later, he was asleep, and his friend came to him in a dream. And he said, Phil, I've been praying to just know you all right. He says, well, I'm fine. I'm in heaven. It is as beautiful as they say. Streets paved with gold, pearly gates. A lot of people here. Everybody's just positive. He said, and they even like baseball. He said, they do. He says, they come out to all the games. They're big baseball fans. He said, you wouldn't believe it, Jim, how much they love baseball. He said, well, are you on the team? He said, yeah. He says, I'm catcher, just like I was down there. And they got Babe Ruth in the outfield, and they got the other guy that we used to admire. He says, well, don't worry, they got you booked for Thursday to do the pitching. do some stuff down here so you can make it up there. Let us hear from the fighting Assemblyman from Harlem, Assemblyman Keith Wright.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. Good morning. I know we've heard a lot of things, seen a lot of things in the news. If this is not a call to action, now I don't know what is. It was on Monday of this week that I stood on this very stage with the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, Congressman Charles Rangel, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, Aisha Sekou, Kirsten Foy, along with the filmmaker Spike Lee. It was Monday morning. It was Monday morning, and what we all said, we all talked about how horrible gun violence was, how horrible it is. I talked about how June is Gun Violence Awareness Month in New York, and then New York is the only state in the union that has Gun Violence Awareness Month.
Right.
And we gathered here, and I had asked Congressman Jeffries and Congressman Rangel if they would support a resolution in the United States Congress, because it hadn't been done. A resolution for Gun Violence Awareness Month all over the United States of America. And they made history this week, and they put forth that resolution, H.R. 541. They made history this week by introducing that resolution in Congress. Now, I also talked about how on the 254th day of this year that we had our 294th mass shootings. A mass shooting is defined as 4 deaths or more. So on day 249, we had 295 mass shootings in the United States of America. Now, I had also talked about how my son is studying abroad in Paris at the moment.
Right.
I also talked about how earlier this month that he was in Paris when they started shooting up the joint. He was a block away from the restaurant that was being shot at. He smelled the gunpowder, heard the gunshots, and he being a Harlem kid, me being his father, he got the hell out the way. He got to his room real quick. It didn't come out. He just gave me a call and said, "Dad, I'm okay." But it scares you as a parent half to death. I was getting ready to get on the plane right away. I didn't have any money. I was going to ask Al Sharpton for some money. But this is very serious. This is a call to action. This is a call to action. I'll never forget, on Wednesday, after the San Bernardino shooting, the headline on the New York Daily News, the headline on the New York Daily News said, "Dr. Johnson, God is not going to fix this. God is not going to fix this. We have to take our opportunities," as the congressman says, we have to fix it. We have to fix it. I'll never forget that black folks could only drink in a certain water fountain. Black folks could only ride in a certain part of the bus. Black folks could only go to the bathroom. But we had to fix it as a community. It's hard changing the hearts and minds of people, but we have to take our call to action to the streets. We have to do it. That's why I'm so glad that we are now taking it to the streets and we have this petition. It may not seem like much, but I remember when Stevie Wonder and the Reverend Sharpton and others were trying to make Martin Luther King's birthday a holiday. It started with a petition. It started with a petition. So I am so sorry that we have to endure. And time again, our President Obama has said enough is enough. And we have to make sure that we don't make sure that these feelings and these incidences don't become normal. That they don't become normal. So I'm so glad that we are going to sign these petitions. We have to carry these petitions wherever we go. We have to support our congresspeople, Congressman Rangel, Congressman Jeffries, and the whole rest of the Black Caucus down in Washington. All 46 members. 46 members by signing this petition. So we have to speak out. God is not going to fix it, but God is giving us the opportunity to fix it. So I will leave you with what Ben Franklin said. And we have to remember that America is probably the most violent country in the world. But this is what Ben Franklin said a long time ago. If we don't hang together on this issue, they will hang or shoot us separately. Thank you so much.
Assemblyman Wright, the pastor of Congress Avenue Baptist Church for many years was Reverend Grant, and his widow passed, and Congressman and Assemblyman are going to services. Give them a hand. They're leaving the petitions with us. Let us hear a few words from the pastor of the Canaan Baptist Church National Baptist Convention, Reverend Thomas Johnson.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton, and as they exit, to my Congressman Rangel, and to Assemblyman Keith Wright, to all of my father's children, I want to thank Reverend Sharpton for inviting me to be here today. My remarks are very brief. I do just want to bring, or at least to advance our attention to the cause for ending gun violence in this country, the proliferation of guns in our community and all across the globe, the access to such weapons of violence to our young people that's having such an impact on the mortality of especially young men before they even have a chance to pursue their God-given talents and abilities. Reverend Sharpton, I was reminded as I sat here and as I was making my way here today that years ago I was sitting in a revival, and one of the ministers there, who was a self-acclaimed faith healer, stood before that large body of African Americans who had come there to hear him preach and said, "The Spirit is telling me that somebody here has high blood pressure." And I looked at him and I said, "All of us in here have high blood pressure." And my point is that as I look out on this august body, I know just by looking at you and the thickness of the lenses on your glasses and various tonsorial parlors that you visited to prepare yourself for the day, that there's something that has gone awry with all of us. And it reminds me of the many times that you and I have gone back to the pharmacy to ask for a refill on a prescription that has long since expired. But you're standing there hoping and praying that the pharmacist will fill the prescription anyway and just advise you to get back to see your doctor. Well, nowadays, these doctors, and as my doctor once told me, if your prescription expires, don't ask the pharmacist to call me to refill that prescription, because that's bad medicine. And what I'm trying to say to you is that America, in light of so many things, but especially in light of the crisis concerning gun violence in our communities across this land, and a disproportionate number of people of color who are dying at the hands of those who are licensed to kill and those who are not. That this country is in need of a prescription change. The human body will never know what it needs until you have had it examined so the right prescription can be prescribed for your healing. And that's my way of saying to us today that one of the most significant ways to address this myriad of social problems that we have in the world today is that we must go back to the mighty physician and be re-examined, because the disease of evil and hatred has morphed into something that our original prescription is no longer helping us to bring wellness to us. And so I'm calling for, as I hear other advocates calling for, they use the terminology, we need to have a conversation. My terminology is we need a prescription change. The policy on gun violence in America must change. There's been enough conversation. There's been enough call for conversation. Now is the time for policy change in America. And Reverend Sharpton, please call on me, on our church, Kingdom Baptist Church of Christ, or anything that I'm associated with. If there's anything that we can do to help advance what you are doing across this world, don't hesitate to let us know. God bless you.
Reverend Thomas Johnson. We have petitions at the counter. Let me say in support of what has been said by the Congressman, Assemblyman, and Reverend Johnson, one of the things that, and it is the same spirit that I'm encouraging you to deal with, going with us Wednesday to deal with the Supreme Court, going forward on cases like our continued fight for justice for Eric Garner. Part of what you can measure someone by is by what they tolerate. If you tolerate insults, it's because somewhere you have internalized such low self-esteem that you feel you deserve that. One of the reasons that we fight cases like Eric Garner or Michael Brown and Ferguson is because it is insulting to us to feel that our lives can be taken wrongly and that we are not going to say or do anything about it. Well, we ought to have the same position when they allow guns to be inundating our communities, and they will not tolerate it in other communities. I was in Miami and they had the Art Basel Week, and all of the big actors and artists and cultural people come down, and they decided they were going to have some of the mothers of police brutality there. They've done portraits of them, and they wanted me to speak and be on the panel. One of the things I was saying with Minister Kirsten Ford this morning, they have in many ways tricked a lot of our young folk against their own strength. What do I mean by that? There are some that have said, well, we don't need organizations no more. We don't need leadership. Well, fine, if that's what you don't need, that's what you want to do. But then why tear down those of us that believe in that? First time I heard of a plan to tear down black leadership and black organization, that was the plan J. Edgar Hoover had called COINTELPRO. There has always been a design to dismantle black leadership and black organizations. So now you're going to do it for them. That ain't no new plan now. It's new that some folk that look like us are openly advocating that. But you must ask yourself, I ain't got no problem if you want to operate in another way. But why do you have a problem with us operating in a way that has worked for us? You want to be on 116th Street and don't believe in God, fine. But why are you going to try to close down Kingdom? And in between you say, I don't believe in that, and then saying, I'm going to condemn everybody that does. And this sort of destructive, destabilizing of our community is what ushers in gentrification, ushers in replacement of institutions, because they only tear down so others can fill in the void. You got to have an insult level. And when I look at gun violence in this country, the insult level in me is high enough that I will not tolerate living under this kind of siege. You going to tell me that you will put people on no-fly list, but let them buy guns? You going to tell me that black kids in Central Harlem, Southeast Queens, Brownsville, that don't have money to buy new clothes, but you can put guns in their hand and make it affordable, and we don't have a gun manufacturing company nowhere in the country owned by us. That's right. It is an insult for us to sit around afraid to fight for our own lives. We must see this as a fight for our own dignity and our own self-pride and self-respect. Congressman Rangel referred to Rosa Parks. Anniversary of Rosa Parks 60 years ago was this week past. What fired up the people in Montgomery is they were indignant about how they were treated. One of the guys on the panel this week down in Miami said, I disagree with Dr. King and integration movement and all of Rosa Parks. I said, well, I come out of that movement. I wasn't old enough to be in it then, but I grew up and later became I was raised by Wyatt Walker and Jesse Jackson, those that were with Dr. King. And I became part of the generation the next wave. So I'm going to apologize for what I'm from. First of all, if you're going to take a shot at what I'm from, I'm going to shoot back. And first thing is you do not understand our movement. It never was about integration. It was about desegregation. What's the difference? The difference is, if I pay $1 to get on the bus and you pay $1 to get on the bus, I'm not fighting to sit next to you. I'm fighting to say if you can sit anywhere for $1, I can sit anywhere for $1. Desegregation meant that we had the right of any other citizen. What never a fight about sitting on the toilet with white folk. Some non-involved blacks and white liberals who deal with a white supremacist mentality try to act like it was about we wanted to be close to them. No, we wanted the freedom to operate like anybody else that was an American citizen. Don't get it twisted. Whatever about you, it was about us. Children have been misguided in what it was about. Hello. to sit next to the white guy. She was fighting not to give up her seat. We are not fighting for gun control for any other reason than to maintain the lives in our community. Why y'all keep raising the sound about Eric Garner? Because we have the right to say that law enforcement ought not choke us to death. You don't choke other folk to death, you're not going to get away with it with us. Guy asked me, well, some of America and some of them reminded everybody the other day, protest about a year later, he didn't get indicted. Said, do you think that the officer should be fired? I said that then. Minister Kirsten John Ford and I was at City Hall right after that, and I said to Bratton's face then that they ought to fire the cops and Perk Walker. Then. And there was a strategic reason why I said it then, as Kevin will call you on our front page. Because Attorney Hardy had explained to us that you need to deal with this now. Because once a grand jury comes back and says no bill, then if they fire him, they can say that you went against a finding of a grand jury, though you could technically fire him and gives them a legal premise. And the feds have to deal with all of the officers now, and whether it compromises their testimony. But I called for it before a grand jury had said they had no bill. Hello. Now, reason we're dealing with these findings about gun control, no background check. Can you imagine? That's right. That you're a right-winger talking about you don't want Syrian refugees in the country. You don't want folk that are Muslims to not be surveilled. Some of them talking about closing mosques and monitoring services. But you don't want a background check on who's going to buy a gun. How you going to surveil Muslims, but don't do background checks on who's buying AR-15? Something sick about that. Something insulting about that. Well, really, y'all can't do nothing about it. Y'all just march and carry on. Well, that's because you ain't never done nothing about nothing. Next time somebody tell you what you can't do, that's their autobiography. I come from folk that made change when the odds was always against us. Let me tell you something. We came here and was enslaved. Everything we got done, somebody told us we couldn't do it. We went from chattel property to where we are today because people said, I'm not going to take it and I'm not going to be told what I can't do. Ain't automatic we got 46 blacks in Congress. We couldn't even vote in some parts of the South 50 years ago. Somebody said, we're not going to take that, we're going to do it. Ain't automatic we are where we are. And we ought to use where we are to get other things. Well, I don't see nothing changed. Because you can't see. There's a whole lot changed, and we need to keep on changing. Don't deal from pessimism. Deal from the fact that step by step, we can get where we've got to go. Why? Because my mother and father's generation, they had less. Look at what they did. And the generation before that, look at what they did. And the same God that brought them is still on the throne. Well, Reverend, they got Colorado Friday 5 what to do. Time's always been rough. You didn't have social media before, so you didn't know what was going on, but it's been rougher than this. It's been rougher before Instagram and before Twitter told you how rough it is. But let me tell you how I get through rough times. Some disciples was out on a ship and it got real rough one day. The storms came, the winds blew, the boat was rocking. They tried to hold on as long as they could, but their faith got weak. Their hope disappeared. They remembered Jesus was in the pit of the ship. And somebody said, you better go get Jesus. And when they went and woke Jesus up, he didn't get up with no long dissertation. He didn't have a long commentary. He looked to the wind and he looked to the rain and said, peace, be still. And even the wind and the rain shall obey his will. You can give up if you want to. You can back down if you want to. I can go to the pit of my ship and wake Jesus up. But when he gets up, even the wind, even the rain shall obey his will. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. We can make it. We can change things. God will make a way for his children. Everybody sing. Everybody singing. Everybody singing. Everybody singing. Everybody singing. Everybody singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. We want justice. Got to have justice. Everybody singing. Yeah. I'm gonna open the door